But in terms of our race, this stillness and silence, this prayer, this connection with God is like the fuel for the runner. It's like the good food that the runner eats and the good drink that the runner drinks in order to run the race well. It's realizing how connected we are to God, how we are really, truly loved by God that fuels us to run this race well. And we can only do that when we're silent and we're still in the presence of God. And so this rest that I'm talking about isn't necessarily self-indulgent things like a spa day, although that may be part of it for you, or binge watching something. That's not really stuff that's forming us well. As you heard me say, I have to die to my desire to sleep in or to stay up late. So we do have to give up some things if we are going to reprioritize our life to find some space, some silence and stillness in our lives. And there's many things that we could be doing that may feel like rest, or we may think that they're rest, but in actuality, they're not really forming us into Christ-likeness, like consuming social media, flipping through your feeds all the time, binge watching something, hooked on the IV that is the news, the constant news cycle. See, these things aren't forming us into Christ-likeness. Now, we may get a little thing here or there that sparks something, but these things aren't forming us into Christ-likeness. They're not reminding us that we are loved by God. They are, in a lot of cases, forming us in a bad way, in a way that is anti-Christ. They're like the junk food for the marathon runner. They're cotton candy. They're all sugar and no substance. So, yes, we do have work to do. Yes, we do have this race to run. But this work that we do, this race that we're running, cannot be done well. It cannot be finished if we are not centered in, if we are not rooted in the good soil of God, rooted in this love of God, this place where our identity is only what God thinks of us and not what everybody else thinks of us and what everybody else needs of us. And this work that we do cannot be fueled out of anxiety or fear. And I think that's a byproduct of this frenetic society that we're in, of this go, go, go all the time, refresh the feed, fear of what we're missing out on. It's fear and anxiety that's feeding us, these things that we don't want forming us. That's what's feeding us right now. These things, fear and anxiety, are not the workings of the Spirit. So if you notice yourself being fearful or anxious or acting out of fear and anxiety, pause and realize what that is. I think one of the ways that we can be a witness to this world, a witness to the power of the risen Christ, is to be a non-anxious presence in this anxious world. And how we become less anxious people, less fearful people, is by sitting in the loving gaze of God, of realizing that it's not about what we produce, but it's about who we are, and then acting out of that identity.